Hi, it's Chris Watkin here with Tom from Dr. Photo. Tom, blue skies, I want you to teach me, using Photoshop, how, step by step, so the guys out there can see what you're doing. So, show me some blue skies.
Okay, great. So this is, I think, the easiest way to add a blue sky because it
Remember, we're dealing with estate agents here.
Yeah, so there are lots of ways. When you Google and look up on YouTube how to add a blue sky.
Let's have a look then. Okay. So, I've opened up Photoshop. Do I need any fancy type of Photoshop?
No, you can just use the latest one. So there's Photoshop 2019. I've got 2018 open up in front of me at the moment.
So you've opened up the photograph?
Absolutely.
Okay, so what's the first thing I need to do?
So if it's all about adding a blue sky...
Just the blue sky?
Absolutely. Then you need to find what's called the magic wand.
Okay. Oh, Mrs. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, and that looks like a little wand on the screen there. Okay, and then where do you put that?
So you want to basically put it on top of the sky that is already there. So anywhere is fine, to be honest.
And what happens then?
You want to make sure you've got it on tolerance between 15 and 20. Don't ask me why.
Okay, so tolerance is basically looking for colours that are very close to it.
Absolutely. So if it was 1, then that basically means that it's looking for other pixels with that particular shade.
Okay. So the bigger the number, the less the more easy it's going.
Tolerance it is. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Also make sure that you've got it on. Also make sure that you've got contiguous unticked.
What does that mean?
So in other words, when you've got contiguous ticked, I can show you. What will happen is it'll only select a particular part that's
in one lump. Yes.
Absolutely. But when you've got it unticked, which is what you want, it will suddenly start to select everything, which actually is what you want.
Yep.
In a picture like this.
Okay, but looking at this now, it looks like it's also picked the conservatory.
Yeah, absolutely. So you want to basically deselect that.
Okay.
So the easiest way to do that is using this tool and make sure that
What tool's that called?
So this is the polyagonal lasso tool.
Yes.
Make sure that you basically start on the side, and what you want to do is you want to deselect everything that you don't want the sky to fall into.
Okay.
So it's quite difficult when I'm not quite so zoomed in, but I'll do my best.
Okay.
So you basically want to follow the lines.
This is on the inside, so you're on the inside of the house. Yeah.
Keep following those lines.
I'm with you. There you go.
Double click, and now you've got pretty much, without zooming in, you've got 99% good selection of that property and of the sky.
And you can tell it's selected because it's got the black and white little hashes on it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Right.
So you can deal in layers, but to be honest, for this, all I'm going to do is show you the quickest way to do it. So the quickest way to do this is to go to Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. Now, what you want to do is basically get rid of what's there at the moment in the sky. And the easiest way to do that is to put lightness up. And suddenly, you've just got 100% whites.
Yes.
Click OK. So
it looks solid white now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So obviously you want to put a beautiful blue sky in there. So you want to make sure that you've got a photo of a blue sky. Perhaps it's one that you've taken, or it's one that you've got from Shutterstock.
Okay.
But if you
very nice.
Select it, and the way to select it is to do Control AC or Command AC, or another way of doing it is.
So Control A is you copy all, and then C is copy. Is that what you're doing?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Control A, then Control C.
Absolutely. Now you've got that selection.
Yes.
So you want to edit. So
if I paste that now, it will go over the photograph.
Absolutely. So if I did edit paste, nightmare.
Yeah, it's gone over the photograph, hasn't it?
Exactly. So
you almost need to put it in behind it, don't you?
Absolutely. So you want to do edit paste special into.
So paste into.
Absolutely.
Okay. So that looks very nice, but it does look a bit false.
It does look a little bit false. So this is where a bit of artistry and playing around comes into it. So what you want to do probably is...
Because I don't know about you, the amount of times you see a crappy little terraced house with bright azure photographs of the... Looks like you're in the Bahamas.
Absolutely.
So what are we going to do here then?
So you want to resize it so that you're bringing the sky up to show the horizon ultimately. So when you look at a sky, if you were to walk outside now and look at a sky, you'll see that at the bottom of that sky it's slightly whiter.
Yes.
And so that's a very good trick of making something look more realistic.
Oh, you don't want it all to be blue from top to bottom because
No.
it's lighter at the bottom.
And ultimately, when you see on Rightmove, you may see someone, perhaps it's the first time they've done it, they'll stick a blue sky in like this, and it'll just be solid blue.
Because it's solid blue all the way down to the bottom.
Absolutely.
But again, that original photograph, let's just quickly flick back to it.
Yeah.
Sorry, the sky itself. Yeah. It was much lighter at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're going to do is you're going to move that pasted sky upwards then.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it, exactly. So edit.
Remember, we're dealing with estate agents here.
Mm-hmm. Paste into.
Yeah.
And then you want to go to free transform, which is a really nice way to move that picture around. So what you can do is you can squeeze it a little, and you can also move it around.
So it's much lighter now at the bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's other ways that...
when we're dealing with estate agents, remember?
Exactly. I won't go into those ways now, but there are other ways that you can make it lighter at the bottom as well. But if you just want to use that photo as it is, just make sure that photo, if it's already got a nice white horizon, then just bring it up, ultimately.
It's very clever.
Yeah, exactly. Now, it's nice, but it's still not quite there. So another way to basically just blend those pixels, those edges together, is to multiply them. Which, if you've got some trees and some leaves, for example, then it just helps bring the definition out of those leaves.
Okay.
This picture had quite solid lines, but if it's quite if there's lots of trees and branches, I'll just let you know that there's something called select, and then if you went to modify, you can actually feather.
Yep.
And what that allows you to do is to blend those pixels together even closer. But to be honest, this is quite a solid,
again, we're just doing
basic
blue
way
sky.
of doing it.
Blue skies and
very
guys
simple. So the other thing you want to do is you might want to, depending on the saturation, the exposure of that photo, is just try and blend that sky so it looks, again, a little bit more natural. And because we've created a white layer, if you remember, it's
yes.
white behind it. If you were to reduce that down again, it will just a little bit, the opacity, it will just make it again look a little bit more natural.
Because I normally just, when you selected the sky, I always used to just drop it in, but by making it a white background, you now have some opacity which allows you to...
Absolutely, because if I didn't make it white, then it would show the old clouds that were there.
I'm with you.
So now, to be honest, you're pretty much there. So if the only thing that you wanted to do was to add a blue sky, then you're done.
So, and now I see there's two layers there. I can't say that as a JPEG at the moment, can I?
No, not at all. So if you are happy with the exposure of that,
yes,
then all you simply have to do is go to File and Save. So you would
will that
save as,
and that'll sort out the layers.
Yeah. So to be honest, that's the quickest way. Otherwise, you can do something called Layer and then merge down or flatten image if you had to. But to be honest, if you were to just go File Save, then it automatically sorts it out for you.
It's transformed, hasn't it, before and after?
Yeah, absolutely. You can, just before I go, Chris, you can, if you'd like, also just help the exposure and shadows. And this property doesn't need it, but if it needed straightening, you can also play around with the colours.
Well, that's what we get professionals like you in for. Okay, good stuff.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for that, Tom. Thank you.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Chris.